Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important pieces of equipment on the baseball field, and that is the baseball. So stick around, it's going to be a fun one. So if you've been shopping for baseballs recently, you probably have seen that there are so many different types, so many different certifications, and it can be a little bit confusing to figure out which ones are right for you. So in this video, we're going to break down all the different types. We're going to talk about the differences between the baseballs as we move up in age. We're going to talk about some specialized baseballs that might be good to pick up to incorporate into your training. And then by the end of the video, you'll be able to figure out which baseball is right for you. So let's get started. So let's get started with looking at the baseballs made for the smallest athletes on the field, T-ball players. Now, these baseballs are specifically designed for those future all-stars to keep them safe on the field and keep them having fun. So these are going to be the same size as a professional baseball, 9 inches. Most of them are going to be the same weight, so 5 ounces, but they are going to be specially designed. They are a lot softer, a lot squishier than real baseballs to help keep them protected. A lot of them are going to feature synthetic materials instead of rubber, just from a usability perspective. But really, that soft core is what you're looking for to help keep them protected as they're learning the fundamentals of the game. Now, you can see T-balls printed right on this one, but another good option for those future all-stars is going to be the Incrediball from Rawlings. This is a even softer baseball designed so you can help them, not be afraid of the ball as they're fielding, and just help make the game more attainable to them. Now, there's even a special version of the Incrediball that has a mesh kind of lining to the outside of it, and that just makes it easier to grip for their smaller hands so they can throw it a little bit easier. But for the smaller athletes out there, you definitely want to be sure to grab a ball that helps cater to them and helps them love every facet of the game and help develop those skills. So be on the lookout for T-balls and Incrediballs. Next up, we're going to move into those youth baseballs, talking about Little League. Now, this is where we're going to start to see real weather baseballs come into play. Now, these are most likely going to have a pill center or a cushion cork center. Then that's going to be wrapped in yarn with the outside leather placed over it. Now, these youth baseballs may look similar to what the professionals use, but the seams are a lot higher. Those raised seams are easier to grip for those smaller hands, easier to throw, and makes the game a little bit more enjoyable. Now, if you're shopping for a league, it's important to get baseballs that are certified by your league. And a lot of times they will have the stamp printed here on the baseball. So for example, these are going to be Little League approved. There are tons of different leagues. So for example, this one's going to be Pony, there's Ripken, Babe Ruth, all sorts of leagues. But if you're shopping for baseballs for your league, the easiest kind of point of reference is just going to be having a stamp on your baseball. That's going to make sure that it is approved for your league and you won't have any issues there. So important to know, these are going to be real weather baseballs, higher seams, and be sure to grab the one that is approved for the games in which you're playing in. Next up, we have the USSSA baseball. Now, if you're on a select team and you're playing in those higher level events, most of the time they're going to be USSSA certified, so you're going to have to use a USSSA certified baseball. These are going to be very similar to the Little League balls. We're going to have genuine leather. We're going to have the similar internal construction with those raised seams to make it a little bit easier for those youth players to get a hold of the baseball. But these are going to have that USSSA stamp, so very important. If you're looking to play in a USSSA tournament, got to grab the USSSA baseball. So as we move into high school, the baseball actually becomes even more important. High school baseballs are also going to have that real weather exterior, but the seams are going to be a little bit lower, a little bit more similar to a professional. So kind of in between the professional height and the youth height. And if you're going to be playing high school baseball, you have to use the high school certified balls in play. Now, important to know, especially for those pitchers out there, if you're going to be throwing bullpens, it is very important to try to use a high school baseball when you're throwing those bullpens. Those seams make a big difference in terms of the movement on your pitches, the velocity, the spin rate, so on and so forth. So if you're going to try to be a high-level high school player, definitely try to stick to using those high-level high school baseballs. In practice, you're just going to see the greatest consistency, and you'll be able to really work on your pitches and maximize your mechanics. So all high school baseballs are going to carry that NFHS stamp on it, and that's how you know that they're high school approved. As we continue to move up, we have college and professional baseballs. These are going to have the lowest seams yet. so a little bit lower than even the high school baseballs, and they're just going to be kind of the truest to the nature of the baseball. Now, these are going to be very important to use if you're at that level. So college players should definitely try to use college baseballs in all of their practices. You're going to see the greatest consistency in terms of that performance and those stats, especially when it comes to pitching. Now, there are differences in stamping and certification between NCAA, NAIA. Some of the junior colleges use their own stamps. So be sure to grab the one that is appropriate for the league or the organization in which you're playing at. And then, of course, professional baseballs, the top of the top, are going to have the nicest build quality, the most consistency, and perform generally the best. But that'll be a rundown top to bottom of all the different types of baseballs. So let's talk about a little bit more of the kind of specialized baseballs and some that might be good to incorporate into your practices. So we talked a little bit about the certifications, and that is very important when we're talking about play. You need to be sure when you're playing a game that you're using baseballs that are legal for whatever age organization you're playing at. But practice is a little bit of a different game. So there's a little bit more experimentation that we can talk about. So one thing that is important to consider is weighted balls. Especially at those higher level ages, weighted balls or plyo balls can be very useful for developing arm strength and mechanics. So maybe picking up a weighted ball if you're at that high level might make sense to you. And of course, that would be a practice only option, as well as maybe a pitching machine specific baseball. Pitching machines are notoriously hard on baseballs, especially the leather and laces. So some companies do make pitching machine specific baseballs that are engineered to be a little bit more durable, and that can help out protect your investment. So if you're going to be using the pitching machine, maybe for BP or anything like that, picking up some pitching machine specific baseballs can be a great idea. Additionally, a lot of companies make practice specific baseballs. Now, these are actually not made of leather. They are a synthetic cover, and they can be very useful when it comes to hitting. Throwing, wouldn't recommend these. It's going to be kind of a little bit harder to grip. You could do it, but definitely not for a high level bullpen or anything like that. These are really for maybe just infield work, kind of minimizing how much they're going to get scuffed on the dirt, or maybe just a BP ball. They do a really good job of being extremely durable because they're entirely synthetic. Even the laces are a synthetic material, and especially for those people playing on natural grass, these are very resistant to picking up moisture. Especially, maybe early morning practices, those all-weather baseballs can quickly become waterlogged, but you don't have to worry about that with the synthetic practice balls. So something like that may be a good option, especially if you're a player that does a lot of BP, or maybe even a coach, just protecting that investment. There's also wiffle balls, there's low flight balls, there's all sorts of different types of practice baseballs. So be sure to kind of look around and see what might be the best for you, what you can get the most bang for the buck with. And overall, tons of different types of baseballs. I'm sure there are even more that we haven't even mentioned. So if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below. I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to stay tuned for more like it, and I'll see you in the next one.